So I was looking at the new Aurora, but then I was thinking, maybe I should get something that looks a little classy. But then I was like, no, I need something that can pull some serious weight. Maybe I don't need all that cargo space. What about the Legionnaire? Now we're talking. How about some bigger guns? Little bigger. No, little bigger. There you go. And maybe some rockets, too. Actually, I should probably upgrade the power plant. I did like the leather seats on that LX, though. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's see what this baby can do.
Welcome live to Checkered Flag Interactive here tonight. We are live from Daytona circa 2007 here. We've got the bumps and the old pavement back for the day. The sun is out. We've got 35 plus drivers getting ready to take the grid for the 4th annual I've Got Ballz 250 here live. It's Shane, Steve, and Paul up in the booth here, and we are getting ready to go green here in just a few moments for what could be, and what usually is, one of the biggest races of the year for us guys. As these guys get ready to go racing down here, it's going to be a chaotic race. We've got 100 laps on the board. We've got green-white checkers also in the books as well. What do you think we're going to see?
Well, I think definitely, Steve, the 4th running of the I Got Ballz 250 should be nothing short of amazing here tonight. The first 3 have been absolutely incredible. We have CFI have had the privilege of covering each and every one of them, and really they've gotten better each and every time. And tonight, I believe we'll continue to grow on that, and obviously have another great race. The weather looking great today. Going to be plenty of grip on the racetrack. Got a little bit over 30 drivers here for tonight's event. 250 miles around this super speedway. The bumpy Daytona surface definitely going to bring some interesting racing, and obviously some faces we've seen throughout the races, but also some new faces here tonight. Going to try and mix it up, so it's going to be one of those classic Daytona races, I guess.
And as qualifying gets underway here, we've got over $125 in available winnings here. Over 73 registered drivers. It was 73 a few days ago, still a couple stragglers, so they had to wind this field down from about 75 drivers down to 43 through the dual races and whatnot, last chance qualifiers. A possible $50 for first place out here. And of course, tonight's race is brought to you by Brandon Smizer Photography and a couple of other sponsors. And tonight we are unveiling our new 2016 ticker graphics and all of our new graphics here. As you can tell, a little bit of a new look for 2016. Just got to thank our friends over at Our Expression Studio, and then of Tyler Head over here with these guys. That he helped a lot get this thing rolling for us. Lots of thanks out there for those guys, but what we're focused on now is the race.
As drivers are now on the racetrack, make their qualifying laps. Each driver gets 2 laps as usual. Protocol at each and every race, and after that we'll go ahead and set the grid for tonight's 250-mile race. It's going to be very interesting. Each driver is going to have 2 resets, and what we've seen in these races so far is you will need those resets. Obviously, there's lots of great racing, but also some crashes usually happen in this racing, and you're going to have to keep those fenders clean all night, not use up those resets just in case you do get involved in a wreck and it comes down late and you can't repair your car. That could definitely be a disadvantage. So these guys are going to have to manage that and all kinds of things here tonight. The race gets started.
And Paul, from your point of view here, we're going to such a bumpy track. What do you think it's going to be like? Are we going to have large packs, or is it going to spread out through the race? What do you think we'll see out there?
I think well, first of all, Steve and Shane, it's good to be here with you guys tonight. I think a lot of what you're going to see is they'll tighten it up at the beginning, and then as the run wears on, I think depending on how they're handling 15, 20 laps into a run, if they're having a lift like we had to last season, could be a little interesting. They may choose to give some spacing and stuff like that. So I think we're gonna have to wait and see if we're gonna have really tight or maybe a little bit of spread out. We'll see through this first run, the first long run that we get.
And taking a look right now, the top 10 as these guys are wrapping up their qualifying, looking pretty competitive. Corey Heffley, a very familiar face, sitting right now in that top spot. Logan Clampett is actually almost a half of a tenth back there. Blake Reynolds in third, Cody Erdman fourth, Patrick Campbell sitting there in fifth, as some of these guys are still getting their laps in. You can see lots of drivers trying to get up there, but a pretty wide spread in times through the top 10.
And that's just something you really don't see at a super speedway, but when you come to a track like Daytona, the old circa 2007 version, with all the bumps and stuff, definitely driving ability a lot more encouraged here, and you see the guys taking this fixed setup, since everyone does have the same setup for tonight's race, and really just choosing the right line, going around this racetrack, handling the bumps best. Those guys have the faster times, I should say, the lower times, and they're up toward the front, and the guys who maybe have been struggling this tonight with these bumps, they're definitely going to be more toward the back half of the field, and they're going to have some work to do when we get the race underway.
But of course, with the old Daytona, we talked about it briefly, lots of bumps. I mean, these cars are traveling a lot in the corners. There's a lot of suspension movement, and then it's hard to keep it full throttle at times, especially out here. We've got a pretty low track temperature as it's later in the day here. The humidity is pretty low, so the track's going to have about as much grip as you're going to try to ever get out of it. And that's what's going to make things very interesting out here tonight.
Judging from the way they have fuel set up, it looks like they're going to have to pit probably 3 times. That should be, and green flag stops are always exciting at these big tracks, so we'll see how those turn up as well as they're getting ready to hit the grid.
And I'm going to turn it over to you and Shane to run through the official running order here, the starting order, as the drivers get down onto the grid. I'll turn it over to you guys for the start of the race.
Thanks, Steve. We'll go through the running order, or the running start here for tonight's race. Corey Heffley, the pole setter, is going to be on that inside row. It looks like he'll elect on the outside. Luke Crutchfield, both those guys very familiar, been running in all these races. They'll complete the front row for tonight's event. Brandon Cruz Mosvias will go ahead and start third here tonight, with Brendan McGee starting in the 4th spot there to his outside. Starting 5th, Eric Smith, and to his outside, Jack Walls in the 6th spot. Logan Clampett will start 7th tonight, and Blake Reynolds will start 8th. Robbie Variable Jr. will start 9th, and rounding out the top 10 will be Cody Erdman.
Starting in 11, Patrick Campbell. Outside of row 6 is Jay Adair. 13 is Nick DePalmo. 14th is going to be Avery Burgess. 15 is Matthew Blossom. 16 is Michael Finlayson. And those are the only guys that took a lap time. The rest of the guys did not elect to put a lap down. Alex Krasper starts in 17th. Chris Overland elects to not put down a lap. He's in 18th. Jeremy Davis in 19th. And Ian Plash in 20th.
Brian Doucette will start 21st tonight, with Kane Cook starting 22nd. 23rd will be Ryan Cobb, and Mike R. Johnson is going to roll off from the 24th spot tonight. Nicholas Ward, he'll start 25th. Tom Wetmore will start 26th. Jeffrey McClintock 27th. Evan Melanson, he's the defending winner of this race in 28th. Chevy Gilliam will start 29th, and rounding out the top 30 will be Brandon Lawson.
31st is Michael Kalinsky. 32nd is Justin Bishop. 33rd is Cody Love. 34th is Ryan A. Williams, and rounding out the field in 35th, Matt Egan.
Before I got you, man. Starting out, I think I might drop this back. From what I've seen in the dual races and everything, it's going to be crazy. Other than that, I'm just going to try and save gas. I think I got some teammates to work with, so just going to take it easy the first, half the race. We'll see what happens. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And it looks like the 01 of Ian Flash is actually going to be starting second here. That might have been because of the dual races they held earlier in the week. He might end up being on the second spot there to start this race, so he moves up all the way to there. That'll adjust the running order slightly, but nonetheless, the fourth running of the I Got Ballz 250 about to be underway as the pace car pulls off 100 laps, 250 miles for tonight, and we're green flag. And all these guys very excited for tonight's event already, side by side through turns 1 and 2, and they've worked their way down the back straightaway. Seems like the guys in the back, they're going to hang out there, get single file, but the guys who are up front for the lead, well, they're battling hard for the lead as they're side by side, about 6 rows deep in it.
And hopefully this is one of those cases where patience pays off. It's a long race. 100 laps around Daytona is a long way to... no sense taking risks, especially this early. You see everyone just kind of calm, cool, and collected, falling in line. You don't see a lot of people trying to pass or anything like that. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, these guys, this is really new to this race, the fourth running of the I Got Ballz 250. They've been encouraged to take it easy early on, and what I mean by that is the rules have kind of been strictened when it comes to restarts and how they race each other really till later in the event. Is when you're really allowed to get up behind someone and really push them to the front. And they have the winning set up where if we get a certain amount of cautions, then that first amount goes down. So it's a new system they're implementing, but I think it's going to really keep this race clean, and we're still going to see awesome racing.
Oh, got a spinner hard
as
to
a
the
car.
wall, 19. Right near pit road entrance. I don't think we'll get a caution because he is off the racing surface.
He is, but he's also stopped there, continues to stop there, and now that car will disappear, so we'll stay green.
Oh, that is a tough break.
And just when I was talking about the green racing there, we see a car go around, but nonetheless, Jack Walls will go back to the pits as we're on board here with Corey Heffley, as he was the pole sitter. He's dropped back to 7th and has really fallen in line as everyone else has, working that middle to high groove, turns 3 and 4, and he's a part of this long train to the front here that is single file. Another car goes down off into turn number 1. He gets loose. That's Nick DePalmo. He's in the 40. Papa John Chevrolet, he's going to get loose. They'll gather it back up. They'll lose tons of spots nonetheless, but nice save by Nick, and he will not spin that car around.
Live to fight another lap. It's the name of the game.
Definitely is, and spinning out's one thing, crashing and having to use a reset.
14 and the 71 get together and collect a big wreck. Oh, that'll be a caution. No doubt about it.
And it is just when I was talking about resets. There you go. A couple of those guys are already going to have to use their first tonight, and we'll take a replay of that one. Definitely a huge wreck.
14 and the 71 get together and causes a melee back there. Good 6-7 cars involved. '14 kind of loses the handle, comes back up the track, and 7 is there.
Yeah, what I'm watching was this 14 car. Originally, that was Michael Finlayson, one of the Thursday night regulars here on CFI. Gets loose into turn 3, gets up the track, gets into the 71 car, and from there on, the wreck was on, and we saw several guys behind them get involved. And you know, really, especially at a track like Daytona with the limited room you have, if a car spins out and is in the middle of the track, there's really nowhere to go. And especially with all those cars that spun out at the same time, blocking the track, and already several guys on pit road for that reset.
And you have to remember, this isn't the Daytona we're used to racing on. This is circa 2007. This is a lot bumpier, a lot more character on this track. It's going to be a lot tougher to avoid things and gather it up and keep control of that car in instances like that.
I think that's one of the things these guys have to realize tonight. And the I Got Ballz 250 has always been run at the old Daytona, but nonetheless, you know, like you said, Paul, we are used to the new Daytona. We're used to that flat surface, you know, really where you can put your car everywhere. This old Daytona, that's pretty much the complete opposite. It's bumpy, and you have to watch each and every groove you're putting your car in. And that time by, Michael just got loose and lost it.
And he is retired for the evening. I'm not sure if he's one of the drivers that acquired a strike in the duels, as you heard Brennan talking earlier, that, you know, 2 strikes and you're out basically for this race. So some of these drivers are running on fumes. They got to keep it clean. So I'm not sure if Finlayson was one of them, but it looks like he came back. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to watch that situation. There's got to be about 5 drivers, I think they named in the drivers' meeting, that do have 1 strike from those dual races. And as you said, Paul, pretty much another strike for them, and they are out of this race, parked, regardless of anything else. So that would definitely be a tough break for any of those guys in that situation. So a 100-lap race in the early going, definitely going to take it easy and understand that you're racing on the edge, and, you know, probably leave the big-time stuff for later on.
But
I'm sure
nonetheless,
some of these guys will welcome the caution with the fuel situation. You know, they can stretch it out a little bit longer.
I really do think, nonetheless, though, that'll be a good little bit just to get the race kicked off. The tension's been pretty high because this thing's been built up over the past 2 months nearly. So these guys out here, it's been a lot of build-up, so they're probably pretty anxious to get this thing rolling. And now that we had a moment to sort things out, maybe get by your teammates, fall back to where you need to, I have a feeling this next run is going to be where we start to see some of the drivers feel more comfortable with where not only they are, but how their car is handling and how the field's driving as a whole.
That's definitely one thing for a driver you need to do. You know, early in a race, you need to get comfortable. You need to figure out what your car has, what you have compared to everyone else, and what the track's doing. Really now, especially with the new dynamic track surface, haven't talked about that at all tonight. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects the old Daytona. Definitely tire wear, a lot more of a thing to deal with when you come to this old Daytona compared to the new one. So will we see a racing group? Will we see that inside line? If, for example, if they run that the entire night, well, will we see that kind of change the complexion of the finish, where everyone can't really run down there because of the groove? So, interesting to see. You know, these guys are learning what the track has and possibly what it'll do later on.
Currently, the running order we have is Ian Plash still out in front, one of the super speedway pros, I'd like to say, here on iRacing. Always raced in Verdane, and he's just always been one of those drivers that anytime you go to a super speedway, you just got to look out for him. Luke Crutchfield's up there, Brennan McGee, Logan Clampett, another one of those drivers you need to watch for. Nicholas Ward's inside that top 10. Cody Erdman, also one of those drivers that when you ask who's going to win this race, he comes to mind. Looking further through the field, Blake Reynolds, in-race reporter Matthew Blossom, Corey Heffley, further back to where we expected to see him, probably just following strategy. Nick DePalmo, after making that great save earlier, fell back to 18th. And then taking a look further back, we've got those drivers. Most of these drivers did not take qualifying time. Brandon Montevice, after nearly losing it earlier, he was able to keep going there in 30th position now. And then just taking a look through the last couple of drivers here, we do have our first retiree. Michael Finlayson has not come back, and then Ryan Duquette is 1 lap down.
I believe the 6 car of Ton Wetmore did not start this race, but that car has officially gone on the racetrack. He is 6 laps down, but that car is in the running order right now. So all 35 cars that were scheduled to start have started the race. And from there, that's pretty impressive nonetheless. 43 cars were entered in, and 35 started. One of the biggest fields we've seen for the I Got Ballz 250 in the 4th running this time around. So that's still plenty of drivers all the way back to 35th now that still have a chance to win.
And unlike a normal race, you know, they're going to get 2 quick repairs, so they can fix her up and get her back out there and still have an opportunity to win at least twice.
But just something to consider from here on out, the rest of the race. Those guys involved in that first caution right there, they had to use their reset. More than likely, they did elect to use it. Drivers do elect when they want to use that reset. So I'm pretty sure with the severity of that wreck, all of them did. Which means they're down to 1 reset, which means they get involved in a late race wreck, and they have to use that one, and that's it. And if they get involved in another one, then they're out of resets for the rest of the race, and that could be costly if we see some more wrecks. So we'll just have to see how all that plays out.
Looks like Ian is elected to take the inside lane. I think leads him back.
Yeah, back to green flag racing here on lap 9. Ian Flash, inside lane. He'll keep it there after the finish line. Luke Crutchfield going to try and hook up with the 44 of Logan Clampett to the outside lane. But mostly everyone's on that inside lane. They're trying to get comfortable there. Seems like the train is there, but now the outside's trying to get some momentum. You've also got the 60 and the 9 in that field. That's Robbie Vrabel Jr. in the 60 and Nicholas Ward in the 9. Ward's one of the highest movers in this race from 25th. So definitely that outside lane showing some life into turn 3.
One of the things that should be interesting in the second half of this run is we were talking about earlier is, as the 30's blinking there. How nervous are you if you're on the outside, Shane, and you got a lane underneath you, and you know they're going to get tighter potentially with this new build and having a lift and things like that. Could be awfully interesting here in about 10 laps.
Yeah, definitely, Paul. And one of these things when it comes to this old track is, you know, how much trust do you have with these guys in the outside lane, from the inside lane, really. You know, these cars are pretty jumpy around the bumps, and if someone goes into the turn, misses their line, and, you know, goes up the racetrack, just as you said, that could be contact, and it's usually what starts some of the biggest wrecks here at Daytona. So it's all about trust, and I think the more laps we turn, the more comfortable these guys get with each other.
Looks like they're already kind of drifting up on exit. If you watch them out of the corners, you can start to see some of these cars float up just a little bit on exit. And that could be a prelude to what, you know, we've been talking about for the last couple of minutes.
Looks like the 16 of Luke Crutchfield, a little bit of pressure on the 01 of Ian Flash. He drops low and will give up the lead to Luke Crutchfield, so he is the new leader. Ian Flash will drop back on that inside. Looks like the uttermost outside lane is going to be the preferred groove early on. It's where everyone seems to be running right now, and the inside lane's trying to make some things work. It's not really working for him right now, but that was, interestingly, that's really what it was back at the old Daytona. It was the outside lane was preferred, and everyone else was just trying to move on the inside. And if you would see the inside get together, it would be because of a lot of cars helping each other out. Right now, that's not really happening. Everyone's just kind of running.
And these guys are, you know, they got a good 11 laps under their belt. They're trying to figure out who they want to run with, who they feel comfortable running with as they continue to take away laps. Building that trust, especially on a play track, very, very important for these guys.
You know, Cody Urban's going to nail the wall, go around, and here's the big one.
And some of that trust just left.
Most definitely did. This is going to catch up probably a good third, if not half the field in turns 1 and 2. Here comes Arena.
Looks like the 81 just lost the handle, Shane, and clipped the 22 and 97, and it's on from there, man. Just chaos. 81 gets loose, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely, Paul. You know, what I saw there going at turn 1 is Cody Urban. He just got loose. Maybe the car might have hit a bump wrong, or you know, maybe missed his mark. Something might have happened there, but nonetheless, got loose in front of the field. Spun out, and really, there's nowhere to go if you're right behind the car, and that's exactly what happened. Everyone kind of went around, and the wreck was on from there. Several guys damaged pretty badly. They're going to have to use some resets, and that's not good early on, only lap 12.
But that's what we have 2 resets for, so we're 13 laps in, our second caution here, pretty quick through the race. We're going to throw it off to commercial break. When we come back, we've got the restart for you here.
And you are tuned in live on Checkered Flag Interactive. This is big here tonight.
Goes to the inside, down to the turn number 1, gives it a go.
Giving the push to Chris Overland, putting him back into the lead.
Gonna go side by side, it's gonna be door to door. Who gets it?
Oh my gosh, they died almost.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those races where you're just going to have to hold your breath the entire time.
Everybody up, Taraska in the number 4 gets it over there. Going around, that's the big one.
So I was looking at the new Aurora, but then I was thinking, maybe I should get something that looks a little classy. But then I was like, no, I need something that can pull some serious weight. Maybe I don't need all that cargo space. What about the Legionnaire? Now we're talking. How about some bigger guns? Little bigger. No, little bigger. There you go. And maybe some rockets, too. Actually, I should probably upgrade the power plant. I did like the leather seats on that LX, though. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's see what this baby can do. Bigger cargo.
RSI's Aurora. There are many like it, but this one is yours.
You are tuned in live on Checkered Flag Interactive.
Welcome back here on Checkered Flag Interactive. We are under our second caution of the night here. Couple of drivers staying out. Looks like possibly going to pull it down for McClintock here. Logan Clampett will probably take over the lead. Ian Plash still up inside that top 10. Evan Melanson, he's last year's winner. He wants to make something happen here tonight. He's got some help. And then, of course, Brennan McGee still hanging up inside the top 10. Chris Overland, after not taking a qualifying time, has worked his way up to the top 10. So now, after we've made it through the second caution, what do you think we're going to watch out here, guys?
Well, I think definitely now that we've seen a second caution, these guys have, learned what's good when it comes to racing, what they can do, but also what's bad and what really has happened so far. We've seen two pretty big wrecks, and that's really something of surprise, I guess, early on. But now I think once these guys have realized that, and this race will continue on, I think they'll kind of settle it down and, kind of understand what's at stake here. And, if you get involved in wrecks and you cause some wrecks, you might not be there at the finish when it really counts. So, always have to keep that in the back of your head. But nonetheless, through all of that, I think we'll still see some pretty great racing here as these guys continue to tackle this old Daytona surface.
As we roll behind the pace car here, pace car lights are off, so that means we will go back green flag racing here. Field's doubled up, still a very meaty field, about 85-90% of the drivers still out here. So as we get ready to watch that pace car make that hard left down pit lane, I'll turn it back over to Shane and Paul up in the booth.
Pace car pulls off, green flag in the air. Logan Clampett elects the outside lane, but Ian Plash in the 01 gets the jump on the inside, and he'll take the lead. With the push from Brennan McGee in the inside lane, also Chris Overland assisting there, and they're going to take back the lead into turns 3 and 4 on the inside as the outside kind of falls back there, gets a little bit disconnected, and Evan Lanson's going to get his first laps led, or not, as Brennan McGee looks to the inside. It's going to be close. Now Evan Lanson goes to the outside lane, Brennan McGee, and now with direct help from Chris Overland to the 47, they're side by side as Evan Lanson takes the lead once again into turns 3 and 4. Mostly that outside lane continues to be the place to be. With some help, you can hang up there for the lead as Brennan McGee is proving on the inside lane. And we'll see how long that lasts as he once again takes it back, moves up to the outside, and now some guys duck down to the inside.
And it's going to be a popular thing for those drivers to head up to the outside, especially off turn 4. It is really hard with the way that the bumps lay up off that corner when you're carrying almost 205 miles an hour here. You can see these drivers all over the place, even just through the corners, up and down, even on the outside lines. So it's going to be one of those nights where these drivers, they're definitely not going to be holding very steady lines all night long, but I tell you what, you got to give a lot of room out there because everybody could be at any moment at fault. You think you're in control, but in reality, you really aren't.
And interesting, what I just saw there is there's a little smoke up there for the lead. The 36 of Jay Adair, he pulled out from the 10th spot from the outside lane, and he went all the way down to the inside line, and he picked up a couple spots. He came across the line in 8th, but he was about as high as his 5th into turn 3 and 4 just from dropping down to that inside lane. You got to keep in mind, the inside is still the shortest place around the track, but you've got that going for you. You just need some help, really, to make it work, and if you do have that help, you can make it work absolutely. As Nicholas Ward makes it work, he goes to the lead, and here comes Logan Clampett with help from Ian Flash to the inside. He might take the lead now. Looks like we're going to have a caution in the back. And it's going to end up being a big wreck down back. It's going to be for about 20th on back as tons of cars get together in turns 3 and 4.
It all starts with a little bit of a lag spin. The number 90 gets turned. Cody Erdman gets into that. The 6 collects into that as well. You can see a little bit of blinking there at the tail end of that wreck. Looks like some server issues, actually.
Yeah, there might have been something other than race cars getting together there that might have caused that wreck. But nonetheless, that's several other guys, once again, with tore up race cars. And if you do not have another reset available, which could be very possible for some of these guys, you know, that could be bad. So we're going to have to see and realize who's going to be out after that wreck, and, you know, after that, kind of see how this is changing the race, because so far 3 cautions are early on.
We'll see if anybody tends to head down to pit road here, and it looks like, yes, most of the field will. A couple of stragglers decide not to, but the popular decision seems to be to go down pit road.
The guys who really stay out, they want the track position. They're not going to give it up. The 01 Ian Flash, 36 of Jay Adair, the examples of that. But after that, everyone else is still on pit road. Going to be probably 4 tires and fuel. You're going to need those tires here sooner or later when going around this racetrack. And with only 71% fuel for these guys too, that's about 30 or so laps, give or take a couple there, for each run. So these guys, they'll get their fuels and tires, and they're off, and we'll see how they come out.
But either way, you are tuned in here live on Checkered Flag Interactive for the 4th running of the I've Got Ballz 250 here. Steve Bonesteel, Paul Madsen, and Shane Doherty up in the booth here. Sponsored by Brandon Smizer Photography here tonight. We've got an interesting rest of the race still lined up, and I think strategy is going to come into play. And you know, you don't always say that on a super speedway, but tonight I think it's going to be something we're going to have to watch for.
And that's really the battle you play at a super speedway track, is do you elect to come down pit road, get 4 tires and fuel, and yes, you'll have a great handling race car, but you'll also be in the middle of the field most likely, and you'll have to deal with cars around you, and that ultimate opportunity to be involved in a wreck that could end your race, especially if you're out of resets by now, which does apply to a couple guys out there right now on the track. And also, if you stay out and have that track position, you'll be up front, possibly for the lead, but you'll also have to deal with older tires and possibly have to save some fuel, really just to make it to the next run and fuel cycle. So these guys balancing each and every move, and I think pretty much everyone else has got their decision on which strategy they'll elect to take.
And surprisingly enough, Ian Flash made it back to that top spot after making some pretty bold moves there. Had some help from Clampett and got himself back up to the lead, and I think that's going to be the safest place to be. But I tell you what, if you're not in first, you're going to want to be at the tail end of the lead pack, I do believe. Because being in the center of that pack is just being in the hornet's nest. I tell you what, everyone's duking for position because they want to make it up to the lead. And one mistake out of anybody, and you're right in the mix.
And what we've seen so far tonight is, you know, really mostly double file racing, I should say, really. You know, mostly the guys have been on the outside lane. It's been pretty docile, really, for a super speedway race. But when it gets down to it, when we get past halfway especially, and these guys, they've built the trust and they realize what they've got underneath them, they'll start making more moves, and we could even see 3 wide. It is possible at this track. It's not probable. or really suggested, especially at this point in the race. But that opportunity will arise when it comes down to it. These guys know when that time comes and when they're ready to go, they have to be toward the front. And that's one thing to note. But also, 35 cars started this race, and 33 are still on the lead lap despite these cautions. Still tons of cars in the running.
But we're double back up once more here, getting ready to go back to green flag racing.
Yeah, Ian Flash, the 01, will be the leader on the restart. He'll be on the inside lane. The 36 of Jay Adair will be on the outside lane. And from there on, it's going to be interesting. These guys have been battling back and forth. There are some new faces up front. Some guys who did not qualify have found their way up toward the front. This includes the 35 of Cody Love, 32 of Evan Lanson. He's been there for most of the night. Also from 18th, Chris Overland. Really, he's made his way up toward the front. All those guys have made their way toward the front from the back half of the field in doing so. So that's obviously something that can happen tonight. Guys can be back there and make their way toward the front. You can do it on strategy, passing on the track, avoiding wrecks, you name it. If you've got the talent and you're back there, you still are in this race no matter what. So we'll just have to continue to watch and see who's going to stay toward the front for the entire race.
Ian Plash was fixing his stream there, so he'll pull back up into line there, down to the inside line. Pace car lights are off. Veering down pit road, green flag back in the air here for the I've Got Ballz 250. Lap number 25, back to green.
Yeah, back to green from Daytona. Ian Flash, the 01, he's first. 36, Jay Adair is second. 35, that's Cody Love, he is in third. And from there on out, it is absolutely anyone's game as Evan Lanson drops back. Here comes the 60 of Robbie Brable Jr. And here comes Chris Overland, 3 wide, just as I was talking about it. Here it is, off turn 2. And now the 35, Cody Love, he's going to drop to the back. He saw that 3 wide, and he's like, I'm having none of that. And he'll fall to the back half of the field, but look what happens here. The Overland Nation, 47 of Chris Overland went to the point there, but the caution's going to be out in the back.
And it looks like this one's for a 2-car incident. Brandon Monsavice and then Jeffrey McClintock go around.
Yeah, I definitely saw some things happen there, but what I originally saw up front was the 35 of Cody Love. He dropped back, we talked about it, to let the field by, but what he did coming into turns 3 and 4, I don't quite understand what was going on there. I tried to re-enter the track in the back half, crossed over the apron, over the yellow line, and got into some cars, and that triggered some guys into the wall. Nicholas Ward was one of them. I was running side by side with someone, got knocked into the fence, and from there on it was on for everyone back half of the field especially. So these guys are all going to be involved, and this could be the end of the night for some of those guys in the back with no resets.
The actual caution causing wreck looked like another situation where looked like some type of lag actually in the server caused it. So hard to pin the exact cause of that wreck on anyone, but unfortunately, we're back under caution once more. We're going to throw it off for a quick commercial break here. When we come back, we've got that restart. So everybody, get your popcorn ready, and we'll see where this one goes after this restart.
you feel it in my bones like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Something big is happening, whoa, whoa, whoa. Something big, I feel it happening, oh.
Hey, you are tuned in live on Checkered Flag Interactive. This is big here tonight.
Goes to the inside. Down to the turn number 1. Gives it a go.
Giving the push to Chris Overland, putting him back into the lead.
Gonna go side by side. It's gonna be door to door. Who gets it? Yeah, this is gonna be one of those races where you're just gonna have to hold your breath the entire time.
Everybody up, Taruska and the number 4 gets it. Going around. That's the big one.
We are 24 Designs, Jeff Gordon Graphics and more. We make custom graphics, logos, and even iRacing.
Back here live after our latest caution here, we are doubled back up. Some of the drivers seeming to struggle a little bit with the setup so far. Just looks like it's handling pretty tough in the pack. But as the race goes on, drivers are going to get a feel for it. And that's just kind of what you got to do here. This track's so bumpy, so tough, not only on the drivers, but the cars themselves. So, I mean, there was a reason they had to repave this place.
Yeah, there definitely was, Steve, and you know, it had characteristics for years on end that this Daytona, or at least version of Daytona, that really, you know, possessed drivers. It seems like almost so bumpy, so slick, and really not a lot of places to put your car without having some kind of handling issue. And tonight, these guys in these newer Gen 6 models, the cars that have never raced on this older version out there tonight, and they're learning just exactly what it takes to go around this racetrack. And in races past we've seen here in the I Got Ballz events, we've seen plenty of close racing, and we've seen plenty of wrecks as well. It just comes down to how tough this racetrack really is. It's not the drivers really, it's the track and everything about it that's making it so difficult for even the average guy out there who's been on iRacing forever to handle it. And I'm definitely seeing how much of a monster it really is.
Yeah, and especially on a play track where, you know, you have enough to worry about. There's a guy 4 inches in front of you, 4 inches behind you, and 4 inches to your right. The last thing you want to worry about is how the track is handled. So basically it's, you know, a track kind of like Kentucky, except you're going a lot faster, with a whole lot of things to worry about rather than just the guy in front of you or the guy to your right.
And when you're a driver in a car going almost 200 miles an hour down the back straightaway, especially, you don't really want to worry about the unpredictability about a racetrack. But here at Daytona, you absolutely have to, and if you're not, you could find yourself in the fence. You have to predict bumps, and really you have to be ready for something unexpected. If you run, you know, maybe an inch too high into the turn, you might hit a bump you didn't throughout the race otherwise, and that could really impact how you make it through the turn, and really if you do, as in terms of washing up the track and getting into the wall. So we've seen some of that tonight, but we'll continue to see more as we'll get the restart here on lap 30.
Oh yeah, and you can practice and practice and practice. Oftentimes you're not practicing with 35 cars on the track, and the air is obviously a factor as well. Totally different ball game as we get ready to go back to the green.
This pace car will pull off. Ian Flash 01 selects the inside lane with the 66 of Blake Reynolds on the front row as we're back to green flag race.
Somehow I got a feeling they'll be a little more patient on this run right here. 4 cautions inside of 30 laps. They'll probably settle in here.
Starting to see that inside lane try and settle down in single file. And just as we say that, there's another wreck in the back.
Oh man.
And we'll pull a replay up of that, but that was contact with inside the top 10.
Well, the 81 gets into the back of the 30. And it starts it again. That 81 is just, he's had nothing but misfortune tonight in that 81 machine with Cody Erdman.
Yeah, what I saw there was the 30 of Avery Burgess. He got loose off turn 2, had a problem, and Cody Erdman going so fast. Already these guys up to 180 plus out of that turn, and when he saw that car get loose, Cody had nowhere to go, and then contact was made, and wreck was on from there. He gets into the 97 car. He goes around, and then from there on, guys try and avoid pretty much a blocked racetrack, and 4 guys continuously get tore up, including the 9 of Nick Ward. Was involved in the previous caution. He once again is involved in this caution, so that's back-to-back double whammies for him, and definitely some more cars going to pay a visit to pit road.
Yeah, and that 81's got a pretty nice boxed-in front end, it looks like. As he's missing a front end, splitter, grill.
Definitely going to be some big-time repairs going to have to be on that 81 machine at Cody Erdman. That is the 97 car. That was Jeremy Davis. That was the other car that got involved in that wreck. But nonetheless, this caution going to force the hand of your leaders down pit road. Very surprising. Everyone who looks like who did not pit under that previous caution going to bring it down this time.
Yeah. Seeing what we've seen so far, Shane, if I'm a driver, I'm taking tires every time I can get it. I mean, track position is important, but not that important. On lap 32, I'm probably wanting to keep fresh tires on this bad boy.
Yeah, definitely. And what also has to be considered is if you make a pit stop and take tires, do you take 4 or do you take the risk of 2? And really, which side of tires do you take? Do you take left sides or do you take right sides? What we've seen at super speedways, especially the newer Talladega, or at least at what it's at now, it wears that left front. The inner portion pretty good, and that's not really what you see at most tracks. Usually it's the right sides that wear the most, but super speedways you got to watch that left front the most. And I think these guys they have to make that choice if they do take 2 tires. Which choice to exactly make.
Well, in the case of our leader, Ian elected to take right sides on that pit stop, so perhaps with this particular track, I mean, maybe that right front's wearing just a little bit more, or he's alternating.
Yeah, he very well could be doing just that. Ian Flash, he's one of those guys who's been on the strategy of, stay as close to the front as you can. He's not one of those guys who's stayed out and then come down pit road, take 4 tires, and lose a ton of spots. He wants to be as far up as he possibly can. Maybe when you get a restart there to make your way toward the front and at least have that opportunity to do so. I know there's plenty of other guys behind him on that similar strategy, so we'll just have to see how that all plays out as this race continues.
Yeah, and if you're Ian right here, I might be thinking the safest place on this track is at the point, so that could factor in there as well. One of the unfortunate byproducts of a bunch of cautions early is, people get more impatient, tempers start flaring, and then, you run the risk of this race going downhill. I don't think we'll have that in a case like this. There's a lot of talented guys in this room, a lot of seasoned veterans, and everybody here has a ton of experience on plate track, so hopefully they're all able to keep it together.
And as these pit stops have wrapped up, looks like the 26 of Mike Art Johnson will be the new leader on this restart. The 52 of Corey Heffley's been involved in some wrecks tonight. He's made his way back up toward the front on strategy here in second. Brendan McGee in the McDonald's Ford will be third with Jeremy Davis. Is just caught up in that last caution here. Looks like he's going to keep the car on the racetrack. He'll restart fourth, and Ryan Cobb looks like he'll restart fifth here.
And from the other end, it looks like Logan Clampett with the clean car. I'm sure he took a reset. He's the last car on the lead lap in 29th. You have 30 through 35, either one or several laps down with Finlayson out. I do believe Erdman disconnected as well after that last wreck, so I think there's 33 cars left on the track.
Yeah, the 14 of Michael Finlayson, he's retired. I believe the 90 of Jeffrey McClintock, he's pulled that car behind the wall, and the 81 of Cody Erdman has officially retired from this race. Also with the 30 of Avery Burgess from that wreck. The only car running The only 2 cars running that are 1 lap down or more is the 6 of Tom Wetmore. He continues to fight back after missing the initial start, and also the 9 of Nick Ward. That car has been on and off pit road. You can see he is out of resets, so he is on pit road manually repairing damage.
Yeah, that, especially in the case of Nicholas Ward, you know, where that left front's pretty messed up. It's not anything near the front end is not a fun place to have damage on this car on this track.
So we get the 1 to go here. Looks like Mike R. Johnson will elect the outside lane for this restart as the leader, and that's something we've seen so far tonight be the popular vote. The leader goes to the outside, elects that initial lane for the start, and you know, being the preferred group, that outside lane in the early going, it seems like that's where they want to be. They don't really see the inside being that much of an advantage.
All right, long run right here. I feel it, Shane.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what can happen here. We got some new faces at the front that could definitely change some things up, and also some guys who have been you know, toward the front the entire race, and now they're in the middle portion of the pack, so they might be hungry to make some moves, and who knows what can happen for there. So we'll get ready for the restart. The pace car's off. We're back green flag racing here in Daytona. Everyone's going to be side by side through turns 1 and 2. The 52, excuse me, Corey Heffley might have missed a shift for the time being, but he gathers it back up, back through the draft, and he is coming strong in that inside lane. But look at the 97. That's Jeremy Davis. He's got some damage on that left rear from that previous caution, but he's making a big push to Mike R. Johnson and keeping him in the lead.
As Mike dives to the bottom, I wonder if he feels like that's the place to be. His 97 is giving him all he can handle on the outside out there.
And a big wobble by the 97. Jeremy Davis got really loose off turn 4. Did a nice job to save it. Maybe that damage might be affecting his corner exit, at least off that turn. But nonetheless, these guys side by side, neck and neck into turns 1 and 2 as the entire field is double file.
Which is almost funny because they've had, you know, multiple cautions, and now they're seemingly even closer. There isn't much of a stretch, but except for that second pack well for the back there. Pretty close quarters.
Yeah, this first pack, what's interesting about this time around compared to most restarts, it's mostly the outside lane, then there's some cars on the inside. Literally, it's a 1-to-1 ratio between the cars on the inside and the cars on the outside right now. Looks like most of those guys, maybe who are toward the back, who want to make their way toward the front, are starting to see, you know, really what you can do on that inside lane versus just riding in the outer lane. So we'll continue to watch that. Mike R. Johnson, Corey Heffley making a run here on the inside.
Mike R. Johnson slides up in front of Jeremy Davis, and he leads them back across. Heading into turn 3. He's kind of playing both lanes a little bit, it seems like. That inside lane's kind of dying a little, especially at the front, which is very interesting. You can figure that guys, as the leader spins, gathers it back up. Oh, that's an excellent save by the 26 as he's into the grass. You still should be able to gather it back up, but that's a heck of a drop from 1st to 26th.
Yeah, what a save. That's going to go down to B for Mike R. Johnson. Was just talking about how really, what a good job he's been doing on the inside and outside lanes. He was working both lanes. Probably one of the better drivers out there tonight in doing that, but just got a little loose off turn 4. We're starting to see some guys get really loose off turn 4, and for Mike R. Johnson, definitely the worst situation happens there. He keeps it off the wall and doesn't spin out or flat spot any tires. So he'll just have to hope he'll stay with the draft here, and he'll be all right.
I don't see any damage from him exiting the racing surface, so he can use the 28 to get him back up there.
So we'll reset the situation up front. The 01 Ian Flash, he has retaken the lead for the moment being on the outside. The first back is 14 cars. It goes all the way back to the 13 of Justin Bishop. And then from there on, Chris Overland is 15th. He's working with some guys. Eric Smith and Matthew Blossom are in race reporter. And from there on out, we have a couple stragglers and cars trying to form their each individual packs. Basically, not in the lead pack is what those guys are going to elect to do. They will hang back, and that includes guys like Kane Cook, Nick DePalma, Jack Walls, Ryan Doucette, and even as far back now as Cody Love and guys like Nicholas Ward as well, although he's a couple laps down. All those guys electing to ride in the back for now.
Guy that I kind of have my eye on is the 44 Logan Clampett. He's got a little bit of damage on that right front, but he's a wheel man. He's as good as anybody out here. He's making that car work as he's pushing that car up into 6th.
Now Logan's he's one of the up-and-coming stars here on iRacing, but he definitely has the talent to get it done here tonight. It'd be nice to see him get a nice run there in the 44 car, and he's doing a nice job in the outside lane right now. And he's really been a great example of how fast you can come up through the field using the draft and picking the lane that's moving correctly. And now he's back up to the back bumper of Ian Flash. We'll see what he can do from there.
As Ian dives back to the bottom, not content with riding in 3rd apparently. He's going to put pressure on Brennan and Corey Heffley.
Now pull to the inside, he'll retake the lead. That's the 36 of Jay there. He'll also pull to the inside, and they'll be working together there. Once again, that inside lane proving that all it takes is some good drafting help. It doesn't care about the many cars that are inside or that are on the inside lane. It matters, how strong are you pushing, or really how is the draft working for you. And now Jay Adair, he's actually going to clear the outside lane completely, so both those guys kind of pulled away themselves.
This is what you hope for right here at Daytona. A lot of lead changes, a lot of close quarters racing, a lot of close quarters clean racing. And it looks like kind of the 52 of Corey Heffley is thinking about trying to get down to the bottom, but couldn't quite find a seam.
Yeah, him, Brandon McGee, they've been working together nicely. Also the 57, I haven't said his name all night. That's Matt Egan, inside lane there, yellow and pink car. He's doing what he can. He's working with the, looks to be Blake Reynolds there in the 66 car, the 44, Logan Clampett there as well. Also, Luke Crutchfield, he's re-emerging back into this pack, so plenty of guys. They've made their way back up toward the front, maybe being marred back in traffic, you could say, since the early portions of this race. And once again, double file a couple rows deep.
As we're watching this here, I think the biggest difference between now and say 6 months ago prior to the last build is if I'm Corey Heffley or Brendan McGee, I'm right on the doors of Ian and Jay Adair, but you don't see that at all. You see half a car length between the two lanes, and that's a distinct difference than what it has been in the past. These guys are almost anticipating giving each other room for that trouble on exit.
And really, that could be for several reasons. It is early on. Those guys, I definitely might be a little bit conservative when it comes to how they're racing, and that could definitely hype up later in the race. But also the setup. This is different weather compared to last time we ran this race, and also the setup is different. So those are kind of different factors that contribute to how much room these guys give. And I can guarantee you one thing: despite all that, there will be less and less room given as this race continues.
If you're say the 60 or the 44 or the 94, Shane, are you content with just riding right now, or do you want to put pressure on these guys?
It really depends on how these guys are comfortable. Knowing Brendan McGee and also Corey Heffley and the rest of the guys really in that outside lane, they are really strong cars up front. They've led laps already today. So really, they're just trying to be passively aggressive. They know they have fast cars, but they also want to lead. So as long as they stay toward the front, I think they're just going to pretty much ride where they are. As always, see a car get loose there on the apron. That's the 15, that's the 16, excuse me, Luke Crutchfield.
Seems like the longer this run goes, you see a little bit of tire smoke here and there. So I think guys are getting a little bit looser as the run goes on.
Correction, that was actually the 85 of Chevy Gilliam. It's right next to the 16 of Luke Crutchfield there, but he does a nice job of saving it. Does Chevy gather it back up, but he will lose the lead track.
And it looks like here, in very short order, the leaders are going to have another obstacle. In addition to that outside lane, they're going to have lap traffic here coming up very shortly, and that could also create some interesting scenarios as we continue on here in lap 46.
Yeah, usually, most super speedways, you give the outside lane, and the lap car goes by, no problem. But tonight, most guys have been in the outside lane, and even if you do open up that lane for Cody Love, who's going to be the lap car they're going to catch here, is there going to be enough room for everyone to get by, and what if someone gets into something?
That's it. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of a pucker factor for some of these guys as they make that three-way.
As it looks like Nick DePalma might have gone around the tribal. He is. He's stopped there. He'll get it back going, but we'll stay green. We'll turn our attention here to the second pack. Starting to watch up from 17th on back. It's Patrick Campbell, the number 11, leading these guys. Includes Brandon Lawson, Ryan Williams, and plenty of guys all the way back to the 23rd place car of Jack Walls in the 19. All these guys are over 12 seconds back from the leader. They're basically a quarter of a lap down at this point and continuing to grow now that they've lost that lead draft. Most of these guys, no damage. They're just kind of riding back here and noticing that we are just about halfway, but still a long way to go in this race. So they're going to elect to pretty much lose the draft and hang in the line for now.
In a scenario like that, where you're kind of hoping for a caution, as the lead pack's in the middle at 3 and 4, and they're just now creeping on the entrance, you're not going to catch them. You just have to go for a caution.
The 85 of Chevy Gilliam has also found a pack of draft with it is those guys. That'll make from 15th on back now one line basically, as all those guys are working together.
Cody Love did a pretty good thing back there. As the leaders were approaching him, he kind of just dipped down below the apron and let everybody go. That's the safest thing you can hope for if you're passing a lap traffic.
And the same will be done there by the 54. That's Brandon Masivas. And also we see Nick DePalma do the same. He was one of those cars that went around in the tri-oval. So those guys give way to the leaders there. Pretty painless situation. And these guys will continue on.
And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how the second half of the run goes here, as we haven't yet seen how the cars handle on the longer run. We know what they're like on the short run, but what will we see, 15, 20, 25 laps into a run? Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a handful for these guys up front. That's a for sure thing. And we're starting to see some of those guys who have experience, especially on the super speedways up front. Ian Flash, countless races for him. Logan Clampett on the last year or two on iRacing, he's really come alive. And also Emmettman Lanson, the previous winner from last time we did this race, the third running of the I Got Ballz 250. So those guys have made their way toward the front. Also, Luke Crutchfield is leading the outside lane. Brendan McGee and some other guys back there as well. So the guys really got this figured out so far in the races. We're just past halfway that time by. They have found their way toward the front. They are now leading.
Absolutely, and Clampett there in second. We were talking about it earlier with that right front. Wheelwell being dinged up a little bit. Best place for him is right here. I mean, probably doesn't want to. He's probably more effective here behind Ian than he would be in front of him. I'm staying right here on Logan Clampett till the end when I go for it. As the 16 gets really loose into the wall on the outside of the leaders.
Luke Crutchfield does the exact thing he should have done there, but just as you say that, the 57, Matt Egan's going to go right around off turn 4. Looks like everyone's going to miss him, and we'll be under caution.
Boy, I'll tell you, Luke did a heck of a job of holding that thing into the wall after getting loose. And
That he did.
Not creating more problems than needed to happen right there.
Exactly. And also the 35 of Cody Love goes around, and also the 54, that's Brandon Monsivais. He goes around as well. Those guys were both lap cars. That was after the wreck nonetheless, but this will be another caution here just past halfway.
That was a big slide for life there for the 57.
And I have caught
Matt
up with
Egan.
our in-race reporter here, Matthew Blossom, driving right now, still mid-pack. Matt, take us through what this race has been like so far.
It's been chaos. I'll definitely say that. I've definitely dodged a few bullets like just now. But yeah, it's just been chaos out here. But it's definitely fun. I'll definitely say that.
Well, with the halfway point here, and as we pull it down pit road, how does this set us up for the rest of the race?
I mean, we've still got a long ways to go. We still got to maybe make another pit stop or two. So, I mean, it's still going to be a long race, and anything can happen here.
The one thing that most of the drivers are saying that just doesn't feel right about the setup is getting down into the corners. It feels like the car is just very light on entry. Is this true, and have you been able to figure out anything to help with that? This looks like getting loose in front of you on pit road.
I mean, me personally, I haven't had that problem. I mean, everybody has different driving styles and everything like that. I love this setup. I know in the duels they changed it up a little bit, but I love this setup right now. I mean, it just depends on your driving style and how you're driving and everything like that, but with me going in the corners, I'm perfectly fine.
All right, Matt. Well, thanks once again for coming up here to talk to us. We will set you back down to your team as we get ready for another restart. We'll pop it off for a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have the green flag.
Hey, you are tuned in live on Checkered Flag Interactive. This is big here tonight.
Goes to the inside, down to the turn number 1, gives it a go.
Giving the push to Chris Overland, putting him back into the lead.
Gonna go side by side, it's gonna be door to door. Who gets it?
Oh my God, they tied almost.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those races where you're just going to have to hold your breath the entire time.
Everybody up, Taruska and the number 4.
Contact, speed, blast, hard
around. That's the big one.
So I was looking at the new Aurora, but then I was thinking, maybe I should get something that looks a little classy. But then I was like, no, I need something that can pull some serious weight. Maybe I don't need all that cargo space. What about the Legionnaire? Now we're talking. How about some bigger guns? Little bigger. No, little bigger. There you go. And maybe some rockets, too. Actually, I should probably upgrade the power plant. I did like the leather seats on that LX, though. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's see what this baby can do.
Back here live at the Daytona International Speedway for the 4th running of the I've Got Ballz 250 here. And these guys getting the 1 to go here on lap 55. Going to be back to green flag racing next time around. 32 Evan Lanson on the inside will be the pole guy here for the restart. Outside 01 Ian Flash, he'll be second. And from there on back, it's going to be double file. All these guys back to 27th. Jay Adair, the final car on the lead lap here from the original 35 that started tonight's event. Running out there still with a chance to win, and now past halfway. Paul, I got to ask you, really, how is this race going to turn out from here compared to what we've seen so far?
Well, I think the difference between now and the beginning of the race is they know how the car is going to react, know what they have, and it's just a matter of keeping the fenders on it and being there at the end to win. We all know you can't win the race if you're not there at the end, so a little bit of patience still, but I suspect here in about 25 laps they'll be going for broke after that last green flag pit stop.
It's not lap 1 through 99 that matters, it's the 100th lap, the 1% lap of the entire race that counts, and these guys will find that out quickly as the pace car is off. Back to green flag racing here at Daytona.
Yeah, as you said, 27 cars left on the lead lap with Monsalvis and Adair taking the wave around on that last restart. And here we go, Melanson leading them into 1.
Keep that inside lane going strong there. 32 Eric Smith. Haven't talked about him really all night, but he is down there making some ground. Also Brendan McGee making some ground as well. And Robbie Vrabel Jr., he's been in the outside lane for most of the night. He's brought it down to the inside, and all these guys in that train making a nice run down the back straightaway.
Two by two they go, which has been status quo for a majority of the night, which is, you know, also a good thing. I mean, in a race I did not too long ago, it was ended up being single file. So the fact that these guys are able to run 2 by 2 for this long is a very good sign. They've pretty much done it the entire race without any major issues.
And to update you on some guys who have been really toward the middle portion of the pack all night. 77 Kane Cook, he's really made his appearance to the front now in 8th into the top 10. 66 Blake Reynolds, he's back into the top 10, been involved in some wrecks tonight. Nice recovery for him. And how about the 85 of Chevy Gilliam? He's been it's been a pretty eventful night for that Citgo Chevy, but he is back in the top 10 and making some strong runs there on the outside with Chris Overland.
I'd look for Chris Overland too. He's sitting there lurking around there in the bottom end of the top 10. I would very much look for him to work his way back up to the front.
And he's doing just that. He's got a little left front damage, but that's pretty much minuscule compared to the draft. And he's one of those guys really slicing his way through the field. And you know, Chris Overland, one of those guys, you know, kind of hangs back throughout the race, but he's definitely going to be there when it counts at the end. And he's been really adjusting his race strategy to that. That is most of these guys behind him, as they are now making their way toward the front, knowing that we're past halfway and the race continues to dwindle down.
Yeah, creeping on lap 60, you know, they're coming to 59, I think, this next time, and laps are ticking off. These guys in the back, though, need to start thinking about working their way to the front. And another guy we should probably keep an eye on is that 26 of Michael R. Johnson, who had that unfortunate spin out, ran through the grass and things like that, but hey, he's got a relatively clean car and working his way back to the front. As Overland dives to the bottom.
Yeah, Chris Overland really making some moves there on the bottom, and he's up to almost the top of 5. Came around there in 8th, but he's continuing to move ground to that inside lane. Oh, but going back to the 26th of Mike R. Johnson, I talked about it earlier. He was one of the best shot guys out there that I've seen lead that can work both the inside and the outside lane. He was using the draft pretty much to perfection. Just got a little bit loose, and I can guarantee you after doing it once, he won't do it again after especially being the leader. So if he ever gets back up into the lead, that could definitely be a card holder.
I fully expect him to work his way back up there as well. He's just kind of waiting for opportunity to present itself. He's not being too greedy. He's just taking what the cars and the track has given him, working his way back up into 14.
But meanwhile, the race for the lead continues on strong. Ian Plash using the outside lane with some help from the 44 of Logan Clampett to really solidify himself as the leader up there. But the 32 of Evan Manlanson, he's doing a nice job also on the inside. 32 Eric Smith continues to push him down the back straightaway. Also Blake Reynolds continues to make his way toward the front. Him and Chris Oberlin have really shined here since this restart. And both those guys continue to make ground. Is all the 32 of them and Lansing going to get loose? Going to stay loose, and he's going to save it.
Oh, and another one
Until contact.
Oh.
Oh, and he's just going to get nailed at the end there. Unfortunate circumstances. That's Nick DePalmo. He gets hard contact there with Evan Lansing. And we're going to look at the replay here and see just exactly what happened. First, it started with the 32 of Evan Lansing. He's just going to get loose on the inside. And after that, it seemed like he had it. He actually made some contact there with Ian Plash. But then I saw a car in the distance. It was the 57. Might have just tapped that rear bumper, sent him around, and it was on from there.
And the 57 also, at the end of that, he knocked down the inside safer barrier and spins out back in front of traffic. Oh, is the 32 and gets crushed at the end of that.
Yeah, that was definitely a tough thing, but when you're Evan Lansing, he did everything he could, kept it off the wall, but he was unfortunately in the middle of the racetrack, and that definitely spells disaster. Even if you're stopped there under caution, and Nick DePalmo from the back half of the field, he was far behind, really nowhere to go, and he's going to end up getting into him, and both those cars heavily damaged.
Yeah, war of attrition here at Daytona tonight, but that's kind of the way these go oftentimes. And like we said a few minutes ago, you got to be there at the end to win.
And now the entire field's going to make their way down pit road, and now it's going to get very interesting because eventually these guys are going to get into that fuel window, and when they hit that fuel window, that means they can come down pit road and they will be done taking fuel for the rest of the night, and those tanks will be full enough for the rest of this race. I don't think they're in that just yet. But with taking fuel in tires here means they might just need a splash and go or something quick like that to finish this race off.
I think for this race you're only allowed 71% fuel. So I think that they are definitely going to have to come back down at least one more time.
Yeah, usually at Daytona you see fuel windows 40 to 45 laps, somewhere in there, but in between. Depends on really if you're in the draft by yourself or something in between there as well. Now that we're just inside 40 laps to go, probably 5, if not 7 laps. You have green flag racing to go here, and then a quick caution. These guys come down pit road, would probably be done pitting from the end there. But we'll just have to see, how that strategy plays out for the rest of the race.
Never a fun thing if you're spitting coming into turn 3 and 4 on the last lap. So hopefully fuel mileage doesn't become an issue.
And really what these guys do under caution is shut that car off, have it in 4th gear, even clutch it. If you're not comfortable shutting it off, just, do something other than just be on the gas the entire time and save as much fuel as you can. And it might be minuscule, especially when you already have a full tank. You might wonder, well, I have a full tank, it really doesn't matter. Well, those drops could be very vital. As you said, Paul, when you're making your way through turns 3 and 4 at the final lap, you're going to need every drop and really every vapor that comes from the gas as well to get up into the engine and keep it going to the front straightaway. So all that plays just that much bigger of a factor when the race ends.
About 5 laps ago we were talking about Michael R. Johnson. And look who's leaped up from 14th to 6th. So he's making his way back towards the front. He's made it all the way back. He dropped all the way back to somewhere in the late 20s when he spun. Now all of a sudden 6th place, and we know he has a strong car and a very strong driver.
And it looks like the defending winner of this race, the 32, Evan Lansing, can officially pull it behind the wall and retire that car. So definitely a tough break for the defending winner. He has been one of the strongest cars throughout this week, and unfortunately going to end his night in the garage.
That's unfortunate. That's two runs in a row. We've seen that one of the leaders on the outside, kind of bite it with the 16 and now Melanson. So maybe that's something to think about going forward.
And with this caution, it looks the 74 of Michael Kaczynski is going to be the only car that did not come down pit road. He'll get his first laps led, he'll get that track position, but he is yet to come down pit road, so you have to question those tires, and especially that fuel tank from here on out, exactly where he's at.
Or he could be the smartest guy on the track, knowing that if he can get to the finish line with only pitting one more time. But tire wear would definitely concern me if I was Ian Plash or Jeremy Davis or Logan Clampett, anybody behind him.
Yeah, for someone that started the first, has been really toward the back half of the entire field. You can't blame Michael for making this call. Puts him in the lead, he's got the track position. And just as he said, Paul, he could still technically be on the same strategy as the rest of the leaders, having to come down pit roads once. And that would be the last time. So this could definitely be possibly a steal here if Michael can pull it off.
We shall see. You know, as the more cautions we have, the laps tick off. You know, I think we're going to see drivers become a little more impatient and may try to take more chances going forward. You know, with only, let's call it 35 to go when they take the green.
And with the wrecks we've seen here tonight, there are actually several drivers I would bet out there running on at least one reset, and most probably none at this point. And that means they get involved in the wreck, their night is effectively over as in terms of a battle for the lead. So you have to think they have to keep that in mind until late.
Some two cars that come to mind immediately are the 44 Logan Clampett and of course the 47 of Chris Overland, who both seem to be driving with a little bit of damage. You know, obviously they have no room for error.
Pace car is going to get ready to pull off here. Leader Michael Kaczynski is going to elect the inside lane for the restart. We've seen the outside be the popular vote, but I think Michael, seeing the inside, has left some potential as it continues to emerge as one of those better lanes. They've really been equal here as of late as the pace car's in. We're back to green flag racing.
It's like Ian gets a pretty good jump on this restart. 74 is hoping for a little bit of help from the 97 as they make their way to turn one.
They're going to be side by side in turn one. Ian Flash going to fall a little bit back to his partner Logan and Clampett. These guys still double file.
And guess who? 26 they're going to split 3 wide down the backstretch.
Yeah, definitely Michael Kaczynski is not the popular driver to be around. He's going to fall back through the sucker hole in the middle, they call it, and he'll find a spot in line.
As the 26 and the 1 come dangerously close to making contact. 97 for the point. Jeremy Davis.
But don't look now. Here comes the 26, Mykar Johnson. He's making all kinds of moves, complete aggression. Since that restart, he's made his way up into the top 3. And now, if he could just get some help on that inside lane, he could take the lead.
And that's the problem right there. You hit the nail right on the head, Shane. He has no help. So if you're Johnson now, do you side draft and work your way back up to it? Because he can.
That or he could get some help, but the help is going to come from in front of him as they're going to completely gang up and they're going to leave that 97 car all the way to the outside. Jeremy Davis, contact made.
60 came down on the 26, and that is going to be a very ugly wreck. The 26 wasn't willing to let the 60 down, and Vrabel should have known that there was somebody inside of him. That, to me, Shane, I pinned that one on the 60.
Yeah, definitely, Paul. Just looking from the replay, it looks like some contact made. It was close racing nonetheless, but it looks like ultimately that 60 car came down in front of Mykar Johnson, and that's probably going to be yet another caution for these guys.
And that's a tough break for Johnson, who ends up flipping, but he worked his way all the way back from the back, and to get to there, you know, sniffing the lead, and for something like that to happen, just unfortunate. And of course, the 0-1 and the 44 get away scot-free.
And this is going to be a huge, tough break for those guys with no resets who are toward the front. They could smell the victory. It was coming to them. The race was almost over. And bam, their race ends right there. They're going to be heavily damaged and probably extremely off the pace. Going to need a miracle at this point. They're going to want to pull off a great finish tonight. Got a feel for them. But that's definitely the risk you run, battling for the lead all race. And cautions we've seen tonight, all kinds of things.
In 67 laps into this thing, Logan Clampett is currently following. Ian Plash still up front. Blake Reynolds has worked his way to the top 5. Chris Overland still hanging inside the top 10. Lots of drivers coming and going. Struggles out there for many drivers. We're going to throw it off to commercial break. When we come back, we've got the restart for you here for the 4th annual I've Got Ballz 250.
Hey, you are tuned in live on Checkered Flag Interactive. This is big here tonight.
Goes to the inside. Down to the turn number 1. Gives it a go.
Giving the push to Chris Overland, putting him back into the lead.
Gonna go side by side. It's gonna be door to door. Who gets it?
Oh my God! They tied almost. Yeah, this is gonna be one of those races where you're just gonna have to hold your breath the entire time.
Everybody up. Taruska and the number 4
Contact
gets it.
and flash
Going around. That's the big one.
So I was looking at the new Aurora, but then I was thinking, maybe I should get something that looks a little classy. But then I was like, no, I need something that can pull some serious weight. Maybe I don't need all that cargo space. What about the Legionnaire? Now we're talking. How about some bigger guns? Little bigger. No, little bigger. There you go. And maybe some rockets, too. Actually, I should probably upgrade the power plant. I did like the leather seats on that LX, though. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's see what this baby can do. Bigger cargo.
RSI's Aurora. There are many like it, but this one is yours.
You are tuned in live on Checkered Flag Interactive. This is big here tonight.
Goes to the inside. Down to the turn number 1. Gives it a go.
Giving the push to Chris Overland, putting him back into the lead.
Gonna go side by side. It's gonna be door to door. Who gets it?
Oh my God! They tied almost. Yeah, this is gonna be one of those races where you're just gonna have to hold your breath the entire time.
Everybody up. Taruska and the number 4
Contact
gets it.
and flash
Going around. That's the big one.
here live at Daytona, getting ready for another restart. Going to be 30 laps to go. When these guys get to the line, Ian Plash, Logan Clampett, they are your front row here for the restart. Ian Plash is your leader. He'll elect the inside lane. He'll have the 97 of Jeremy Davis behind him, and Logan Clampett will have the 66 of Blake Reynolds behind him. So far, it's been pretty indecisive between which lane's working better. Outside lane was the popular choice early on, but the inside lane continues to be another option that some guys are taking advantage of and moving toward the front. So what we'll see from here, who knows, as the green flag's back in the air.
I would look for the 44 to get in behind Ian as soon as he can. I don't think he wants to be out there leading a lane by himself with that little bit of damage he's got there on the right front quarter panel.
And that is a good point, because Logan Clampett has been struggling with that car when it's in the clean air, as you said, Paul, and he's really doing the best he can out front. Blake Reynolds is doing a nice push, but really they can't do much ground on the outside. But what's happening now is he'll drop to the inside, or at least take a look to the inside. Might think he would go with Ian Flash, but looks like Logan Clampett is going to remain on the outside.
I don't think he tried to give it up right there, it looked like, but he's got the majority of the help. Ian doesn't have much help at all, and that's what's creating this right here. A couple interesting things before we went green. A lot of guys came back down pit road to top off, as I heard Brennan over his race chatter saying that he thinks 30 laps is the max fuel run you can get, which makes this race a fuel mileage race. You heard Ian Flash clutching under that yellow. So fuel could absolutely be an issue if this goes green the entire way.
The 23 of Matthew Blossom, our in-race reporter, he's making his way toward the front. Could he be someone that's making a sneaky attack that could end up winning this race? We'll have to see. But going back, what we alluded on fuel, those guys only can go 30 laps. The guys who stayed out, they're for sure going to have to come down pit road one more time, and the guys who just came in, it's going to be close. We're going to have to use the draft and hope they saved enough under caution to make the rest of the race.
One of the beauties of plate racing is you see guys that had some struggles today, or that we haven't really talked about. You see the 66 of Blake Reynolds up there. We've seen Matt Egan in the 57. We've seen him go around a couple of times. In a significant wreck, obviously it takes a reset, and all of a sudden he's up here in third. It's the beauty of plate racing.
One of the cars that was involved in the wreck that ended Evan Lanson's night, the 40 of Nick DePalmo, also spun out once on the front straightaway. He had a reset available, used it, and now his green car toward the front, making some moves to the inside there, and it's getting pretty dicey up front as Blake Reynolds leads that.
I think Chris Overland was playing possum with this for a while too, as he ran around with damage for those middle laps. I think he used that last reset because he looks like he's got a pretty clean car.
The problem for Chris, Brennan McGee, and also Ryan Williams in the 28, another guy we haven't talked about, is they are not in the lead draft. They are closing in. Also the 77 of Kane Cook back there with them. They can just get formulated into a line and latch on to the back half of this lead draft. They're going to be in business and have a chance to win.
If you're Chris Overland and you see the 94 of Brennan McGee in your rearview mirror, you feel pretty good about your chances of getting back up there.
Definitely does. Both those guys, tons of experiences. They've been in each and every one of these I Got Ballz 250 races since it began, and they are once again making their way toward the front. As this front pack, it's smaller since the last time around, but definitely still the same aggressive ones.
Been seeing the 22 live kind of dangerously a lot. He's clipping that apron quite a bit. That could spell trouble. You know as well as anybody that yellow line's not always your friend, especially in the turns.
Yeah, most certainly is not, especially with the
as
bumps.
the 40 gets loose right in front of him, doing that very thing we're just talking about, and he drifts back and loses the draft.
Tough break for Nick Palmo, but he will continue to soldier on. Logan Clampett, very surprised with that damage. He's continuing to work the draft and staying in the lead here. Does he possibly have enough in the tank and enough speed in the car to bring home tonight's race? We'll just have to wait and see as he drops from his partner Ian Flash to pick up Blake Reynolds in the inside lane.
Just doesn't seem like Ian's been able to find the running mates in order to get back up there with Logan, as Logan's under fire for the lead.
Look at the 23 of Matthew Blossom. And as you said, Blake Reynolds in the 66 makes his way toward the front, but our in-race reporter, Matthew Blossom, really making some moves on the outside. He is peaking possibly at the right time, but can he hold it there? And will any wrecks really impede any of these guys' progress? We'll just have to wait and see.
Ian Flash dives to the bottom. Trading spaces up there, and Overland's kind of lurking back here in around 9.
He definitely is, and now Ian Flash makes a lane switch to the outside. He'll pick up the 23 of Matthew Blossom, also the 26. That's Mike R. Johnson has made his way back toward the front. Outside lane's got more cars than the inside at the moment, and it looks like Ian Flash will once again drop down to the inside, so he's working both.
Overland, Chris Overland pushing, getting a little arrow push on Jeremy Davis, trying to get back up to the front.
Hearing we got a wreck in the back, 71 Ryan Doucette, 11 Patrick Campbell go around. They are off the track, so we'll stay green. Matthew Blossom, continue to allude to him, the in-race reporter, started 15th. He's been way back in the pack all day. We have not mentioned his name once when it comes to a battle for the lead there. We just saw him, went up to third, had a chance to take the lead, really nowhere to go at this point. He drops to the outside lane. Now he picks up Ian Flash, and really Ian Flash has been a great guy to work with all night. He's been up front. Really, he's been having multiple guys working with him, and then he's worked with multiple himself, so we'll just have to see which combinations work the best as the south side lane continues to make ground up.
I really have to believe that Flash is moving around a lot, trying to maneuver in a position for him and Clampett to get together and try to take off in this race.
Definitely could be as Ian Flash gets loose, goes around.
Oh no! And Overland gets body slammed at the end of that. Thought he was going to get away, didn't quite get it.
And that could be the end of the night for most of those guys. No resets available. Tons of body damage to most of those cars. Definitely could be the end to most of those guys' front runners' nights.
Well, that is a terrible, unfortunate incident right there. It looked like the 23 and the 01 kind of got together a little bit, and that caused a lot of hate, discontent for a lot of other drivers.
And this is going to really shuffle the running order, though, up front. Going to have some newcomers who are maybe in that second pack. They're going to be up into the top 10, possibly the top 5, with some of these guys left up front with damage. I see Mike R. Johnson's got some left front damage. Matthew Blossom's got damage pretty much on all 4 fenders. Left front seems to be the most severe. And then Brendan McGee, he looks like he's going to be in the top 5. Not a scratch on that car, so he might be one of the cleanest guys left.
I'll tell you what could come into play here is Crutchfield and Wetmore. If they get a wave around here, they have clean cars, and they're sitting a lap down in 23rd and 24th, and a vast majority of the cars in front of those guys are not nearly as fortunate. So they could absolutely make themselves a factor here in these last 20 laps.
Yeah, Tom has come from 6 laps back down to just 1, so what a comeback for the 6 team nonetheless. He is all the way up to 24th, and that's still a great run considering that car missed the start of the race. It does have some front end damage, but still some chances, as you said, Paul, to possibly get a lap back here, and who knows where he could finish.
And if you're Blake Reynolds right here, you have a clean car and you're the leader. You have to be feeling good about that, as he's going to bring this car down pit road to take fuel out of the equation.
Yeah, this is
my
for
guess
sure
would
going
be
to
he
be fun.
tops off and takes 2 tires, Shane.
And he will exactly top off there, and he'll actually take 4 tires on that machine. But nonetheless, Paul, that's going to put these guys in a no pit situation. Pit crews are done. It's all drivers.
Yes, sir. And despite the right front damage, Logan Clampett wins the race off pit road.
and we'll have to see how the running order continues on. After those pit stops, looks like everyone took 4 tires and fuel that came down. Just looking at it, we'll have to see if any guys stayed out. As the pace car cycle round, looks like Matthew Blossom in the 23 is going to stay out. He'll be the leader, and this could be very controversial for that car. Does the damage going to impact that car essentially? And could that be a difference? Is actually looking at it. He might have come down pit road and topped off and gotten a quick reset. We'll have to look at that.
Yeah, that would be my guess as well. Is his car is clean on my screen as well, and Wetmore gets a late wave around, so him and the 16 of Luke Crutchfield both got those clean cars back on the lead lap. So that they could be some challengers here, like we were talking about a little bit earlier. But like I said, the 23 and the 66, the 23's got a clean car. The 66, the 6, the 16, those are guys that really have to feel good about their chances. Looks like Overland took a second reset. He's clean as well. So a lot of other guys are not as fortunate. The 40 looks pretty good. 19. Looks like a lot of these guys were saving it for the end, which is probably a great strategy. I see a ton of clean cars out here, which surprises me.
Yeah, it definitely is a surprise. And those guys who really ran out of resets, they're off the lead lap in the garage and done for the night pretty much at this point, because the wrecks are that severe when you come to a track like Daytona. But nonetheless, the guys who have been able to use their resets, they're probably out of them now, but they're one of the few left, at least with clean cars, on the lead lap with a chance to win, and that could be very beneficial to their standings here. So we're going to get the restart with under 20 to go next time by. Matthew Blossom, clean car, outside lane, going to be your leader, and Logan Clamp will be on the inside.
Yeah, and with probably 17 to go when they take the green, patience has left the building. It's go time, and these guys are going to, especially the guys in the mid-pack, are going to look to get into the front. So I expect the pace to be picked up, the aggression to be picked up, and the racing to get a lot tighter.
Yeah, definitely will be, especially within 10 laps to go. That's usually when you see these races really get big time intense, and when you see that, especially these guys, they've been working the inside and outside lane. Will we see the middle possibly come into play 3 wide? We've seen a couple situations like that tonight. But will that come into play? And will we see a 3 wide battle for the lead and even 3 lanes all around this track? It's something interesting to watch for. And those guys toward the front or the guys toward the back who know they have to get to the front, they're going to make any kind of moves they need to make in order to get there.
Who wins is anybody's guess. I got a feeling that 44 has got the field covered, so we'll see how it ends up.
Some notable cars back into the top 10. 85 Chevy Gilliam. 88 Brandon Lawson. Haven't said his name much tonight. He's in 7th. Jack Walls in the 19th is 8th. Nick Palma in the 40 is 9th. And Kane Cook still in the top 10, and that's 77. All these guys clean cars. Chance to win here as the pace cars getting ready to pull off for Matthew Blossom.
We'll see how well. This is the first adversity Ian Plash has had tonight as well. He's back there in 19th.
Green flag.
The green flag is back out nonetheless. We're back to racing.
Smooth sailing off in 1 and 2, side by side.
Logan Clamp with the advantage on the inside. Blake Reynolds, both those guys working together. It seems like Logan's found a new partner after Ian Flash, especially under that last caution, got away, but Ian is quickly slicing through the field. We're going to have to mention his name in a couple laps here. He will be toward the front, using his mastermind skills, you could say. But most of these guys are going to be single file up front.
Ian looks to push it 3 wide here. He gets the better of it, backs out a little bit as the 77 gets a little loose in front of him of Cook. But you can see it flashes. He's ready to go.
19th to 13th in 1 lap. Now it goes to the outside. A couple of these cars pretty jumpy around. He's just trying to be careful there. I'm not getting into another accident, but I think Ian, if he can hook on here, maybe make a couple spots up per lap, he'll be there before long.
He's got pretty good company behind him too. 26 and Michael R. Johnson. So that's a good thing to have right now if you're Ian.
Also see the 47 and Chris Overland right there with him. They're all going to be right together. Here's Mike R. Johnson. He'll make the pass on the 19 to Jack Walls. Contact made, but they keep going.
Yeah, the 19's kind of plugging the drain there for Flash. Logan Clampett maintains status quo at the point.
Here comes the 94, Benny McGee on the outside, no help. He's going to try and use some side draft, but he's going to need more help than that. All the way back to the 85, Chevy Gilliam is the next car helping him in the outside lane, but that is 2 car lengths back, and he fades quickly.
That outside lane looks like it's got all the steam, at least in the mid-pack area. And just as I say that, they all drive to the bottom. So they are just going where the speed is. The 26, 47, 01. Johnson, Overland, and Flash.
Definitely are. Here comes the 23 Matthew Blossom to the inside lane, going to try and take the lead in 1 and 2.
And he's doing that on his own because he has no help in his mirror now. Now he's got a little bit of help. As the 52 of Heffley drops down to the bottom to give him a hand.
Yeah, Corey Heffley continues to go to the inside lane. He has been there all night, and now he's going to push the in-race reporter Matthew Blossom to the lead. They're going to be side by side with Blake Reynolds in the 3.
Clampett gets shuffled back down there around 6th, 7th maybe.
Here comes the 47, Chris Overland. They have made their way toward the front. Mike R. Johnson as well. And there's Ian Flash right next to him. They're all in the top 10. They are there. It's just a question of how long is it going to take them to get to the lead.
Clock's ticking, 12 to go.
3 wide down the back straightaway. They continue on. Brendan McGee's going to be the new leader on the inside. He drops down in front of Matthew Blossom. He gets loose, goes around, and we're wrecking.
Clampett, the 88, the 01 gets collected. The 40 comes across again. The 26. Everybody we've been talking about is smoking.
And only a couple cars going to race back to the line. They're going to be the last ones left. After that one, that's going to be most of the field.
23 just lost the handle and then a little bit of net code, and off we go. Oh, that's a tough wreck.
That's a bad break for the 23 of Matthew Blossom. He gave it everything he had, was up there late. Just made a small mistake there. Got underneath that yellow line, Paul. We're talking about that. Car went around on him. It's important to note, though, after Matthew went around, everyone kind of wrecked around him, but that car, looking at it right now as he goes across the start-finish line just now, pretty clean. So he might still have a chance here. Most of the guys around him are pretty much done, though.
Looked like it kind of did in Clampett. I know Clampett had some issues at the beginning of the race. I'm not sure if he's got another reset. We'll see what he's got here when he comes down pit road.
Yeah, he's that car definitely tore up in the rear, mostly the front. No front clip on that car. Tons of damage. See the left front's got some severe damage as well. Yeah. That's a tough break.
I think he's trying to baby it around. He's shutting it off and turning it back on just to save that engine, hoping he gets to pit road. That's a tough break for Logan, who's been at the front, seemingly all race.
Yeah, it's such a tough break for him. Other drivers, Ian Plash, got involved in that, and I do believe he does have one reset left. Not 100% sure on that, but I tell you what, Matthew Blossom did a good job keeping that car under control. But when you're going around here 205 miles an hour, you see someone getting sideways in front of you, you move around just a little bit just to make sure you give them room. You hit a bump just differently, you lose control, and that's exactly what happens here. We're going to have about 6-7 laps to go when we go back green flag racing. So we're going to hop off for a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will take you to the green.
Hey, you are tuned in live on Checkered Flag Interactive. This is big here tonight.
Goes to the inside, down to the turn number 1, gives it a go.
Giving the push to Chris Overland, putting it back into the lead.
Gonna go side by side, it's gonna be door to door. Who gets it?
Oh my gosh, they tied almost.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those races where you're just going to have to hold your breath the entire time.
Everybody up, Taruska and the number 4
Contact,
gets the spinner.
flash,
Going around, that's the big one.
So I was looking at the new Aurora, but then I was thinking, maybe I should get something that looks a little classy. But then I was like, no, I need something that can pull some serious weight. Maybe I don't need all that cargo space. What about the Legionnaire? Now we're talking. How about some bigger guns? Little bigger. No, little bigger. There you go. And maybe some rockets, too. Actually, I should probably upgrade the power plant. I did like the leather seats on that LX, though. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's see what this baby can do. Bigger cargo.
RSI's Aurora. There are many like it, but this one is yours.
Well, here we are. We've just got a handful of laps left. Let me take you through the top 10 right now. Brennan McGee, Kane Cook, Blake Reynolds, Luke Crutchfield, Cody Love, Ryan Williams, Alex Crasper, and then you've got Justin Bishop, Brandon Monsivice, Brandon Lawson to round out the top 10 there. Those are your ball players in the top 10. Then you've got drivers like Logan Clampett, Ian Plash outside the top 10. Matthew Blossom, after saving his car right there, he's going to be starting at the tail end of the lead lap, I do believe here. So he's got plenty of work to do as well. And Shane, Paul, with this final run, we're going to have about 7-8 laps to go. It's going to be a very exciting little bit of a race. Remember, we've still got green-white checkers if we need them.
Absolutely, Steve, and wow, look at this top 10 as you just named off. All these guys, most of them nowhere near the front all night. They've kept it clean, they've used limited resets, if any, and they are here in the closing laps. They are the ones that are going to have a chance to bring home the 4th annual I've Got Ballz 250.
Yeah. 28, Williams, Crasper, Bishop. Haven't seen those guys hardly at all as we're going green, guys.
Brennan McGee inside 94, outside Kane Cook 77, going to be your front row for the restart. Back to green flag racing. Blake Reynolds in the 66 with the push by to Brennan McGee, and they'll be the early leaders into turn 1.
Crutchfield back up into the top 5. He hasn't been there since he put his car into the wall and held it there, 50, 60 laps ago. It's good to see him back up in front.
Also the 35, Kane Cook. Not too long ago, that car was lapped, giving way to the leaders on the inside line. Now he's into the top 5 with a chance to win the race, as they're going to put Brennan McGee through the middle. Here comes Blake Reynolds.
Yeah, you saw McGee trying to control both lanes, and he just didn't have it. Both of them capitalized and left him behind as he drops back into second.
And what these guys in the back half of the field have to realize is the more they race, the more this front pack's going to pull away. And especially the guys like Ian Flash, Logan Clampett, they've been fast all night. They got resets, but are mired back in traffic. They have literally nowhere to go. They need to find room somehow, but just as we say that, 97 to the wall, huge wreck in the back.
And Ian Flash, Logan Clampett, Eric Smith, Gilliam's involved, DePalmo, big names.
Yeah, all kinds of names involved in that one. That's going to pretty much end some of the biggest runners' quest for the win.
Let's take a look at the replay here, see what happened. Gets up into the outside wall, the 97 does, then hooks Logan Clampett hard in the outside wall. Very, very hard hit. And looks like there is even some server connection issues back there as well. Did not cause the wreck. Let's take a ride on board with Ian Flash, take a look at what happened.
Yeah, this is definitely a break for Ian. He goes into the turn, everything looks good. All of a sudden, car on the wall just in front of him. Nowhere to go, the smoke blinding, gets into the back of someone, then clamp it, and all kinds of problems there, then eventually goes around there in the middle of the turn.
Oh, that is just carnage at its finest. Welcome to Daytona.
Such a tough place for him to be after being the dominant car out in front, in control all night long. Got in one bad situation, lost control, and ever since then has not been able to make it back up.
Well, apparently my crystal ball is broken if I'm picking Clampett, so probably didn't give that guy any good luck saying that.
One of the risks you run running up front, involved in a wreck. Really the strategy just went all over the place for Clampett after he got involved in that wreck. They had the right strategy, him and Flash. Stay out front, stay out of the wrecks, but when you get into one up front and that sets you back, there's just nowhere to go, and unfortunately caught up in yet another wreck for both those guys. Going to end their nights, and everyone else toward the front though, they are still in this race, and this is probably going to put the race into a green-white checkered situation.
Some prominent names that are gone. The aforementioned Logan Clampett, Michael R. Johnson, Overland is out, Ian Flash is out. DePalmo just pulled his car behind the wall as well. So some cars that have been out there in the top 5, top 10, seemingly all race, are now history.
Jay Adair and Jeremy Davis, the other two cars have not mentioned before, they are gone out of this race, and that will leave only 19 cars left on the lead lap. We started with 35, 19 going to be left here for the fight for the win.
And the 85 is, to say he is limping would be an understatement. The bumper bar hanging out, front end's pretty smashed in as he works his way around the track.
We got 4 laps to go right now as they enter into turns 3 and 4 under caution. The lights stay on the pace car. That means we'll go green with 2 to go, which means that it'll default as a green-white checkered finish. But if the lights go off here, that'll mean we'll have 3 laps to go at the drop of the green flag, and that would definitely not be a green-white checkered situation, which means if we get a caution there, we would still have 3 chances to finish this race under green.
I'm pretty sure these guys are thinking one and done, one and done. I wouldn't be a fan of doing this 3 times, but as a driver, you're hoping once is enough and you get through it.
Yeah, as a driver, absolutely. The pressure, the anxiety in general at this point in the race already pretty high. More green, white checkers would only add to that and agonize it. So most of them probably want this race done at this moment. At least the guys running up front, especially Blake Reynolds, obviously being the leader, he would take home the purse and the win. But nonetheless, we're going to have to get a green flag restart here. And once again, these guys are going to have to figure out what they're going to do to get that lead.
So they just kind of clarified here in McGee talk. This does not constitute the first green, white checkered. So this is a normal restart.
And that is interesting to know, because as I just said earlier, if we get a caution between anywhere now and lap 100, the race is not going to be over, and we will still have 3 chances for a green, white checkered. So that means possibly 4 restarts, including this one, could happen before the end of this race.
That is definitely what you don't want to hear as a driver, but it's another opportunity to win.
Definitely is, and the 2 green symbol display, they'll be coming to 1 to go this time to get the green flag. And if you're going to be anywhere up in the top 5, you have to start thinking not only which lane you're going to be restarting in, but how you're going to get to the front if you're not there. And if you're Blake Reynolds, Brendan McGee's case, how are you going to hold that position?
Seems like on these restarts, that outside lane's getting a bit better restart, so it'll be interesting to see if Reynolds can hold off McGee. He's got good company behind him. Crutchfield has been solid now that at the beginning, and then now here at the end. And Cook has also been solid here as of late, so it should be a pretty exciting restart.
As there, the lights go off, 1 to go till the restart, and we get the green flag. It'll be 2 laps to go, and as we said before, this is not a green, white checkered situation. At least will not count toward the 3 that are possible. So these guys, they have to understand that this race very well could be over after this restart. They have to make their moves now. They have to make them count, and if you're racing for the win especially, you can't lay back and you can't not make a move you think could work. And you really have to just try out there and do the best you can.
Key here is get to lap 100. Next flag ends the race, so...
Talking about cars on the lead lap, fortunately the 85 Chevy Gilliam, that car too slow to continue, pulls it behind the wall. He is done. 16 cars officially on the lead lap now, after some guys have lost laps in the pit lane for repairs. Jack Walls, the 19 last car on the lead lap, just went across the start finish line. Competitively, probably going to be around 12 or so cars that are still competitive at this point for the win. That's still a pretty decent amount of cars, and really anything can happen from here.
I'm thinking the 19 and the 57 are just logging laps at this point, hoping for a miracle at the end. They're pretty bruised up, but everybody seemingly in front of them in pretty good shape.
And here we go. This will be the final restart of tonight's race, the 4th annual I've Got Ballz 250 at the Daytona International Speedway. Pace car pulls off. We're back to green flag race.
And for the 16, right on the back bumper of the 66, pushing him solidly towards turn 1.
Everyone, and I mean everyone, goes to the inside lane. They want to ride in line. Only car on the outside, 35, Cody Love, but he'll fall back quickly.
That'll be short-lived when that lap counter hits 100. Or sooner, as the 16 is getting a big shove from the 94 of McGee. Crutchfield to the point. 66 gets shuffled back a bit.
Yeah, Luke Crutchfield, strong push there by Brendan McGee. And these guys are going to come off turn 4. Do not see any wrecks, so we're coming to the white flag. White flag displayed this time by last lap.
Leader took the white, so this is the last lap, Shane.
Absolutely is. Luke Crutchfield blocks, looks high, looks low, goes back low. Brendan McGee looking for the move. Nothing happening. They definitely knows there's no friends out there for Luke Crutchfield. He is in a very catchy situation right now. Going to have to hang on. Here comes Kane Cook on the outside. These guys, they're mirror driving right now. They're not barely looking out the front.
If you're McGee, when do you go here?
I think it's
6 peaks out there.
He peeks out. It's really. There's contact made between them. They're gonna get them together. They're all gonna get together. Gonna have to figure out who's left up to the front. They're all wrecking. Gotta find the car.
Everybody wrecked. I was gonna go right through the grass. It's gonna be Monts of Ice.
Got it.
Brandon Cruz Masvias goes through the grass, wins the race, but he actually went through pit road. That could be a penalty. I don't know if they're gonna have that.
I think Tom Wetmore just won the race.
Did Tom? We'll have to get confirmation on that. It might take a minute or two.
Started 6 laps after everyone may have just won the race.
I think they're saying Monsalvis got it. So let's see here, guys.
Completely speechless, to say the least. There, how do you not start the race, be 6 laps down, come through the field, avoid the last wreck, and win the race? We've seen some amazing things, but that, my friends, is something we've never seen.
I've never seen anybody win a race pointing in the wrong direction after sliding through pit road in the grass. That's a first for me.
Did he win? What's the official thing here?
It gave it to him.
Oh my God.
And McGee supported that, but wouldn't that be something for Wetmore, who is just staying out of trouble all day long?
Well, officially the 54 was the first car across the finish line, but he came flying through pit road over 100-some miles an hour, so there's no way they're going to allow that to happen. He'll get the black flag, probably back to the end of the longest line of cars that finished, which could be just 8th. But still a nice effort by Brandon, and Tom's the first car across the line legally, no penalties, nothing involved. And there you go, he goes to the lead. Tom Wetmore going to be the winner of the 4th annual I've Got Ballz 250.
He was 6 laps down at one point, Shane. That is phenomenal.
Let's take a look at Monza.
That is unbelievable.
He made it through that entire thing, got caught on pit road, through the grass. But Tom Wetmore sneaks on by with no penalties.
Yeah, you can't blame Brandon. Yeah, you can't blame Brandon for making the move, but unfortunately he just went through pit road. That's going to cost him the win.
So here's the official results. Tom Wetmore does come away victorious. Monts of Ice showing up in second, but
we've got to change. We've got to change. They have now just said the 54 is the official winner by Brendan McGee. Just coming down, they changed their mind.
All right, well that changes the storyline just a little bit.
I don't know if anyone knows what's going on right now, but Edmonds just said by Brendan McGee, the 54 of Brandon Cruz Masvias is the winner of tonight's race, and will take one.
I'm speechless, guys. I don't even know what to say.
Wow. I've caught up with Brandon, and I tell you what, Brandon, they've declared you the winner here. Take us through what happened.
Man, all I can do is laugh, really. All I saw was just smoke and fire coming out of turn 4. I honestly expected them to wreck in that green-white checkered. I just didn't expect to make it through that. And seeing how the rules were, you race back to the checkered flag when a caution comes out. I just stayed in it to try and get as many positions as I could, and everywhere I went, I knew the actual track would be blocked, so I went down to the apron, and seeing how this setup is really loose on the back end of the car, the rear end slipped out, and so I just did my best to make sure it would at least go across the start-finish line before I hit the wall. But man, that was pretty crazy.
And one thing that we do need to touch on is they did overturn and put you as the winner. But let's talk about, take that out of the picture and say you didn't make it through, and Westmore, Tom, ended up winning that race. He was 6 laps down. He started the race 6 laps after everybody else. What a crazy night.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. This whole race was pretty nuts. Honestly, especially how many people were getting taken out in early wrecks and all that, including myself. I mean, I got involved in a wreck on lap 5, and so I just decided to stay in the back the whole rest of the race. I even went a lap down. And when a caution came out, I decided to stay out, and I only had 6 laps of fuel. And when another caution came out, I had like half a lap of fuel, so everything just worked in my favor today. I've never had anything like this happen before, so that was pretty nuts.
Brandon, would you believe me if I told you were in 14th coming out of turn 4?
I would, because I was looking right at the. I was thinking, man, maybe I should have just gone up there and raced for the end. Like I said, I can't believe I got through that. That's absolutely insane. I couldn't even see the start-finish line coming out of turn 4 with all.
That's because you came across the start-finish line backwards after you and the 83 made contact.
Oh, I made contact with someone. I didn't even know that. I just
you clipped the 83, and that's what shot you around, bud.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know that. I just thought I got loose. That's how fast it happened. But man, the small town computers machine. Man, it was flying all day. That was just a crazy finish, though.
And I do believe now, Paul, Shane, you're catching up with the driver of the number 6, the driver who almost did what probably is nearly impossible.
Yeah, here with Tom Weber. Tom, you got a copy?
10-4.
All right, Tom. Well, first of all, before we talk about the finish there, amazing as it was, take us through exactly what happened to that car and how you ended up missing the first 6 laps.
Yeah, unfortunately, the crew just, they were out eating ice cream in the pits and didn't have time to get the car to the field just in time, and we ended up going 6 laps down early, but, you know, I got to thank Scott Olson Financial for getting us there. I definitely didn't think we'd have a shot at a top 5 after we got caught up in some less talented drivers' mistakes there in the front.
Yeah, really, once the race got underway, you can cue the violin in the background. You were making your way through the field. It seemed like an emotional way to get through the field, and you might be one of the guys to get a good finish and be like, oh, well, that was a nice salvage of a race, did a nice job. But nope, you come through the field, get on the lead lap, go up, and you actually went across the line, one of the first cars across the line, but to give the win to the 54 car. Kind of talk about how incredible that finish was.
I just hope that 54 car is all right. He went through the pit road there and hit the wall doing about 150 when I went past him. So, first of all, I hope he's all right. But second of all, you know, that last finish, you know, it's always crazy here at Daytona. But made it through there somehow unscathed through the last incident and somehow came across the line second. But hey, that's how it works sometimes.
Definitely. And how about the event in general? Definitely Brendan McGee, all these guys doing a nice job putting on a show. It seemed like tonight filled with lots of great racing. What was your opinion on it?
I really like the fact that being a week-long event, everyone had the opportunity to qualify in through the duels, so it really eliminated a lot of the riffraff that may appear in some of these open races. But Brendan puts on a hell of an event once a year for this thing, and it truly is an honor to be a part of, to qualify in here and then have the opportunity to drive all of these 100 laps to be able to finish 250 miles here.
All right, before I let you go, Tom, any sponsors or shout-outs you want to thank for bringing that car home tonight?
Yeah, I really want to thank Scott Olson Financial for putting together a nice funding package for this iRacing team, and also Polaris Industries for providing the paycheck at the end of the week to be able to put me out here. So thanks, guys, and thanks CFI for putting together a heck of a broadcast.
All right, that's Tom Wetmore driving the number 6 car, going to bring home second here tonight. Definitely a comeback effort, almost had the win. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
I go high.
Alright, we have caught up with Brennan McGee, host of the event. Brennan, we had our ups and downs here tonight. Take us through the goods, the bads, what went wrong and what went right.
Well, I'll definitely say this much. I think the setup did its job as far as driver talent goes. I mean, you had a lot of people who couldn't even break the top 20 the whole race, and they just wrecked because of lack of practice. All I saw there is people wrecked because they were using the wrong lines and they just weren't driving properly, and that's the way it is. They've been told for the last 2 months it's a low downforce setup. You're going to have to practice more than 20 minutes like you usually do at Talladega. Just the way it goes. I mean, from my opinion as a driver, the racing on track was pretty fun, minus the cautions, but what can you do? And that ending, oh my. As soon as he went around, I was like, oh my god, I'm going to win, I'm going to win, I'm going to win. And I died.
Yeah, that's the story of the night, isn't it? But the one thing we do need to talk about is, well, where do we go from here?
Well, I think you guys with Tyler Head has something lined up for a special broadcast in the springtime for the Winston 250. Wink, wink.
Quite possibly.
It may or may not be a complete throwback to the 1990s. Cough, cough.
Yeah, you never know. But either way, it was an exciting night, and it had its ups and downs, but that's what racing is.
And we're at Old Daytona with low downforce, so I mean, I kind of expected it to be a little iffy. It's just the way it is. I mean, I knew we were going to go in here, it was either going to be clean or a bit of a mess, and it ended up being a bit of a mess, so can't really seem too disappointed because I half expected it, and I'm sure you guys probably did too in a way, but what can you do?
Alright, well, Paul, Shane, we had ourselves quite the night here, plenty of action, but it's time to sign off for the night.
This is fun, guys. Thanks for having me.
Final
definitely,
remarks,
Steve. Definitely, Steve. We saw a ton of action out there tonight, 100 laps, and probably one of the most amazing finishes. I said that about the last one on CFI. This one once again replaces that one. So who knows what the Winston 250 in the spring, apparently what we've been hinted towards, will bring. And definitely tonight's finish going to go down in the record books as probably one of the weirdest. Just seeing how it ended.
Alright, well, for everybody here at Checkered Flag Interactive, thanks for tuning in, and we will definitely see you next time.